My chef would yell at me if my cutting board was dirty. So like during service, he would come by and he'd like look. I'm talking about you, Mr. Cartwright. He would come by.
You know he's watching.
Yeah.
You know he is. He's a big fan
Chef
of
Cartwright
WTF.
would come by and yell at me if my cutting board was dirty.
Hello and welcome to WTF, where we help you transform food in your kitchen. I'm Janie.
And I'm Roman.
And on this channel, we talk about unique ingredients, techniques, and show you new recipes for your kitchen. Now today we are elevating a common household dish, the Swiss roll, which is typically a roll of some kind of butterfly pork, layered with, like stuffing, veggies, whatever, rolled up and baked, and it tends to be an easy homemade meal. Now today we're showing you a very similar version, but we're going to show you how to make the simple dish restaurant-worthy quality and to fancy it up a little bit, and you can have fun with this particular recipe in your kitchen. All right, Roman is going to walk you step by step through how do you make this, what we are calling a gourmet Swiss roll.
All right, so this is going to be our version of a gourmet Swiss roll. We have a pork tenderloin that we are going to butterfly out, pound it out, and then we're going to fill it with sweet potato. Okay. In our version, we are going to make our sweet potato malleable and pliable, so we can actually lift it off of the sheet tray and then lay it right down on top of the pork before we roll it. All right, so let's start by butterflying. This is actually a pretty easy thing to do. It looks a little bit difficult. First thing you want to do is you want to get your pork loin and clean the silver skin off. I've done that already, so to save us some time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut lengthwise starting from the top to the tail, but we're not going to go all the way through. We're going to make sure that we stop about a ½ inch from going through the loin, and about a third of the way up the loin. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up, and you can see the seam. Yep. And like I said before, what you want to do is you want to get about a ½ inch. Right now it's probably just a little bit under ½ inch. Over a ½ inch. So what I'm going to do is with my finger behind the loin, I'm gonna cut a little bit using my backhand to kind of feel where that knife is, so I don't cut through it. Okay. And then boom, right there. Now this is exactly where you want it, just like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip it over the other way, and I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to start at where the seam begins, where I made that seam, right? Okay. And I'm going to cut through using the same technique. You don't want to cut all the way through. You want to leave yourself a ½ inch. So I'm going to start cutting just like this. And now I'm going to open her up, just like I did before. With my hand behind the loin, I'm going to cut, and that'll guide me, and that'll let me know if I'm going too far or if I'm right where I want to be. And now you have your loin opened up, just like this. So it's almost like a book. You have 1, 2, 3. Yep. And that's how you do it, so 1/3. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some plastic wrap, and we're going to put plastic wrap on the bottom and on top, and I'm going to pound this guy out to about, I would say about 6 inches, 5 to 6 inches, enough to be able to put a sweet potato in there and roll up. So we have our pork tenderloin pounded out. It took about 8 to 9 minutes to get it, exactly where you want it, probably a £1/4 inch. And nice and even. Very important to do that, because when you're going to cook it, you want it to be even. You don't want one part to be bigger than the other. Of course. Over here, I have my sheet of sweet potato. This is one of our earlier recipes that we did before, is the sweet potato custard. This is just a different technique on how to cook it. Yes. I have this is a nice sheet. There's parchment paper, as you can see on the other side of that. And so this makes it so easy, because if you're trying to do this without this, and you're trying to get that, you're going to put some sweet potato down on there, it's going to spread out all over the place, and when you roll it, it's not going to be very neat. Yes. But with this guy, it just fits right there, just like that. Super easy. And then, to make it even easier, we're just going to peel off this piece of parchment paper.
And what we really love about this puree, and the reason we wanted to do another recipe with it, is that it just has just so much intense sweet potato flavor, just from pure sweet potato, and then sweet potato juice that Roman put into it. So it was a process when we did the custard. I think somebody made a comment and they said, well, this is like a lot more work than just pureeing, and yes, it is, but the result is just so tasty that we're like, okay, if you're gonna go through the effort, you're gonna make this puree, we wanna give you more things that you can do with it, and this is one of the like great applications of it because of the amount of control that you can give to it, and it really, again, emphasizes the taste of the pure ingredients.
Exactly, exactly. You're not adulterating it with anything like cream. So one of the things in the restaurant, whenever we made any kind of purees or anything like this, there was always cream added to it, you know, big French technique. And this way you're just getting that sweet potato flavor, pure sweet potato flavor, and nothing else in it. That's why I really like to do it. All right, so now we have our sheet on there. Looks, you know, look at that, beautiful. And we're just going to roll it up. So just gonna easily do this. And you're not losing, none of that puree is spilling out the sides as you normally when you would make one of these Swiss roll thingamabobs. And then once you get right to the end, what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of our Moo Glue here, and I'm just going to use that, and that's going to be our sealant. Now, if you don't have Moo Glue, you don't have to necessarily use this to do this dish, but this does make this loin seamless. And so when you do cook it and bake it, you're not going to see where the seam is at, and it makes it really beautiful. And that way you can handle it without it breaking apart. A lot of times when you do roll these guys up, without without meat glue or anything like that, what happens is, you know, if you don't handle it right, it'll break apart.
Yeah, and I've seen people just tie it together with kitchen twine, and then as you cook it, it's their shrinkage.
Exactly.
It doesn't look good.
So this is going to keep it looking nice and tight. And so you get that roll right in there. So I'm going to take that and put it right back at the bottom. And then we are going to roll, pinch on the bottom, and then pinch the sides. And then once we
like
get
a roulade.
Exactly. And then once you get to where you're going to go, we're just going to tie the ends off. I'm going to vacuum seal this, and then we're going to sous vide it for 3 hours at 55 degrees Celsius.
Okay, and do you need to wait for the meat glue to activate, or can you sous vide it right away?
You can sous vide it right away because the heat will help seal that together.
Okay, we'll be right back. All right, and we are back, and Roman is getting ready to finish off our gourmet Swiss roll here. But before we do, I do want to take a moment to do this week's ingredient highlight. So this week's ingredient highlight is going to be Gellan Gum. So you use F for your hard and clear gels, and LT100 for your opaque elastic gels. Or if you're creative, you start kind of mixing and matching them together to get different colors, different opacity and different gel strengths for the perfect gel of choice. And one of the interesting things I just want to mention about gelling today is, I think when we say gel, a lot of people think about like gelatin. They're thinking about Jello. They're thinking about, oh, I'm just going to gel liquid. But as you're seeing here with the sweet potato custard and the like gajillion other recipes that we have up on the blog on modernistpantry.com and on modernistpantry.com, is that you can gel all kinds of stuff and you can do all kinds of effects with it. Today we made a sheet out of sweet potato. You know, we have made sheets out of meat. I think we're talking about that, all kinds of liquids, sometimes even like really fatty things. So a gel is not simply a piece of Jello. It is, I would say, like a source of doing different creative stuff. So check out blog.modernistpantry.com for all sorts of recipes featuring Gellan Gum. We did episodes all about these, lots of information available if you want to look into how do you gel something in a really fun way. All right, back to you. What do we do? How is our pork looking?
All right, our pork looks good. We just sous vide this 3 hours, 55 Celsius. We took it out, iced it, obviously, to get it down to temp. I'm just going to cut this guy open. All right, yeah, nice and sealed. And I'm going to cut the edges off. I tied these up with twine just to make sure that they were nice and solid and stable. And now I am going to dry this up a little bit because we're going to sear this. And you know, when you're trying to get some nice color on anything, water is not your best friend. Any kind of moisture will impede that.
Cool.
So we're going to dry it up. I got my pan ready to go. I got a little bit of oil. Just going to get it down there. So we're just going to season that guy up a little bit.
All right. So why are we searing everything together instead of cutting and then searing?
Well, what we're trying to do is we don't want any of the nice, beautiful sweet potatoes that are on the inside to come out. And so we're going to sear it all together, and then at the very end, then we'll cut it. And that way, we'll keep everything from getting a little too messy.
Okay.
And what you want to do is you want to make sure once you lay this down, even myself, I could tend to, just want to rush through things. But you definitely want to make sure that sear is done before you turn it. Otherwise, you can lift up the meat. So you just want to make sure, be very patient with it. Make sure you get a nice sear before you start fiddling with it and trying to turn it over to the next side.
I'm always guilty of turning too fast.
Yes.
That's one of my flaws.
I'm very impatient, and so I've learned over time that, if you're a little too impatient, you can mess up the product.
I agree, but still I'm I think it's done. Nope, just kidding.
Let's turn that over there so you can see that. And that's what you're looking for. That'll come up nice and easy. When you rush it, what happens is the bond that the meat is on the pan sticks to it. Once it gets to a nice seal, where you get that nice little line right there, that'll just come right up, and you don't have to worry about any of that.
So this actually looks almost like a sausage or a hot dog. I wonder if we made it small enough and thin enough, you can serve it a whole one, like a sausage or a hot dog.
That would be with something on the inside?
Yeah.
How about, that sounds cool. Maybe we'll try that next. Maybe that'll be one of our upcoming ones. I'd love to try that, like a little hot dog.
Because we can try to make our own hot dog and then stuff something inside the hot dog.
I like it. I like it. I think that's maybe one of our next ones.
A stuffed hot dog?
Yep.
Ooh.
That's beautiful.
If you want to see a stuffed hot dog, let us know in the comments.
All right, we're almost done. Give a couple more minutes on this side. We don't want to rush it again. We want to be patient. You get a nice color, nice flavor. And then I think that's going to be beautiful. We'll cut that up and we'll see how the inside looks. I can't wait to try this. All right, it looks like we are ready to go. Everything is nicely seared on all sides. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to turn this off, and then we're going to pull this off. Be careful. Very hot. I still have my chef hands. All right, and so we're just going to let this cool down just a little bit before we slice into it. Just like you would do.
Looks so nice.
It does. Just like we do any meat, you want to let that meat rest so that when you do cut it open, you don't have juices and whatnot, all over the place. You want to keep everything inside of the loin. So just let it sit for a few minutes before we cut into it. All right, our loin has rested. So I'm excited to cut into this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh.
Look at that.
That is perfectly cooked.
That is exactly texture and all. So let's cut ourselves a couple of pieces here.
Yep. And you'll notice as Roman's cutting, nothing is glooping out, nothing is falling apart. Everything is staying in this perfect little roulade. Exactly.
And that is the magic. Look how beautiful that looks. That looks gorgeous. That looks gorgeous. That actually really looks beautiful right there, I have to say. I'm going to cut one more piece. In the restaurant, weird thing, I know this is just side thing. Odd numbers, for some reason, are in plating is a restaurant thing. It's something that I learned a long time ago. When you're plating, it's always odd. 5s, 3s. Weird.
Because I was going to say, I want to put a little happy face on this. It looks like eyes to me. But that's me from making too many children's meals. From being like, I can make it into a face and then they'll like it more. Okay.
Look at that.
Ooh.
Huh?
Yeah, I can see that with the little the little greens on the side.
Yeah. Am I wrong? That looks beautiful, just like that. Nice.
This is really nice because it's really easy to get a perfect bite with the sweet potato and the pork in one.
Oh man, I do love that sweet potato. It's so sweet potato, right?
I'm sure you noticed this is a minimally seasoned dish, and it's really because we want the sweet potato to shine. You can add herbs and stuff to it if you like.
Could throw anything in there you want, obviously.
But this is really, really good. This is kind of exactly what we're going for. This is still homey. The flavors are incredibly familiar. You got your delicious tender pork tenderloin. You have the pure sweet potato-ness, but the presentation and the texture are both elevated. So now this is now a simple restaurant quality meal that you can make at home, you can make in your restaurant, and definitely a great repertoire to anyone's recipe book.
Definitely, definitely. That's beautiful. I could definitely play that up in a restaurant and make it look super nice.
Yeah. Get the link in the description below for the full recipe, learn more about Gellan Gum, and let us know what you think. Until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie.
And I'm Roman.
And we transform
food.